All right. Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday, or Devil's Night, as they call it in good old Michigan. It is the eve of Halloween. And yeah, I'm doing this while there's still light out just in case things get a little rowdy. So let's get started with a quick video. I don't think this one's going to take very long, just catching up with some Pine Creek shenanigans. So here we go. All right. So there's not too much going on today. Just got wrapped up with work and had been watching some of this. It's interesting. Doug from Old Pine Creek. I'm pretty sure I'm still blocked from his stuff. He he's been doing. He hasn't been live in like a month now, I think, around about that. But he's been squeaking out a few shorts now. So I figured I'd take a look at some of these, and we'll see what he's doing. Mostly to kind of point and laugh and maybe scold. So I think the Madison Square Garden news coverage kind of got under his skin a little bit. So there's a little something there going on. Let's say hello to a few people in the live chat. Digital Gnosis is here. Good to see you. Kent Hoven CPA is also here. Good to see you. Let's see. Nicole Wilson has shown up. Good to see you. Cocos. Good evening to you. A much later good evening to you, Cocos, from where you're at. And God equals. Harris Malls. Yep. Finally got it. It was late arriving, but I did get it. So it's a nice hat. It's not bad. Nicer than the mug. The rushed production on the mugs was not great. So, and I'm something of a connoisseur of political campaign mugs. Not great quality. Not the greatest. Yes, thank you for this obligatory reminder. Vote if you haven't. You can probably vote now in most states. We're getting close enough for most states. Election day is the last chance that you can vote, when you're going there in person. But for a lot of other places, you can either physically go someplace early and vote. You may have fewer locations, oftentimes you do, or you might even be able to do absentee ballots, but those get a little bit trickier. But check with your state. Or you can go to iwillvote.org, I believe is the name of it. Go there and you can look all that stuff up. Plug in your state. I believe that one will even find out, or at least direct you to your state resource, state website, and you can confirm whether or not you're even registered to vote. So that's good. If you live in a state with same-day registration, there's no trouble. There's no worries with that. If you don't, then you've probably missed out. But you'll find that out anyway. So, yep, already voted in California. Yep, voting's underway there. Yeah, most states with any kind of I think from Michigan, I think our early voting started last weekend. So let's see. All right. So let's blow this up and then go through a few shorts here and see what's going on with Dugosaurus. I don't know if I want to play all there was this one. I don't know if I touched on this one the last time I was on, but I think I'll play this one. Let's see. Let's switch this around. Here we go. Okay. Let me know if you can't hear this or anything, but you probably should be able to. So this one is Men Who Vote Harris. I'm going to quiet that one down because that'll probably end up getting me. So men who vote for Trump are Batista during a steroid cycle and a wrestling career. Men who vote for Harris have lost that weight. Hashtag just joking. Hashtag Dave Batista. Okay. Yeah, there's a music cue where it plays Whitney Houston's "I Will Always Love You" when it gets to this more GQ version of him. Really like those glasses. So he's even said in interviews he's lost a bunch of weight, but he did that so that he would feel better. He's like, he's getting older. He doesn't like carrying that much weight around. I think he topped off at like 315, 320 for like one of the last movies he was in, and he was sick of it. So he dropped the tonnage. He doesn't have to be Drax. So yeah, that's over. It's a little weird to do kind of a physique shaming video with this guy when you look like Doug, you know? So yeah, there's that. All right, let's take a look at another one here. Harris ruthlessly betrays the queer community, sacrificing their trust in a power grab for votes. Oh, God.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care in this country?
I believe we should follow the law.
Today, the Texas Supreme Court upheld a state law banning gender-affirming care for minors.
Yeah. I believe we should follow the law.
Reactions are pouring in over a new Florida law that bans instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in kindergarten through third grade classrooms.
Yep. I believe we should follow the law.
Right. And I don't know if Doug understands. I know he's new to the United States. Nate writes, why is Doug so concerned with like buff men? It's an interesting question. I don't know. Come on, we all know Doug likes them thick. Paul Tidwell says, Doug is weirdly obsessed with being manly. Yeah, I mean, he told me in that really long conversation that we last had that identity is very important to him. So I think manliness in his identity is also very important. For this particular video here, I guess that's it. What's interesting about that one is that the quote that, she's saying, I believe that we need to follow the law. So states will pass laws from time to time, but states often, once they're put into effect, they need a little, they end up having to like go off on a when they're initiated, they kind of hit the ground running, and many of them will run into a court decision and not make it. So, the examples that he pointed out were the ones where there were state level laws where like, oh, okay, Pennsylvania decided to do this, Florida decided to do that. Yeah, that's fine. But every time those usually happen, especially when they're that, when they can be that controversial, the issue usually ends up being that the lawsuits will happen. It will end up becoming a portion of there'll be a judicial process that will happen that. And by judicial, I mean, it will go before judges. And so it may not remain the law of the land. It certainly doesn't become federal law. And so when she said, I believe we need to follow the law, if she's talking about federal law, because the position, I don't know when that interview was, but I'm assuming that she was, I don't know if that's an older video where she was, when they were running, the Biden-Harris campaign was campaigning, or if it's newer than that. But as an executive, you're in charge of overseeing the federal law. So when she says that, she is not, in fact, being inconsistent, contradictory, or hypocritical, but Doug is praying. He is desperate to catch somebody being an obvious contradictory hypocrite so that he can, dance a merry, a merry little dance on their grave. It's kind of pathetic. I don't know why he's this desperate to like own anyone. Let's see. After hearing Trump gush about Arnold Palmer, I'm not convinced it's a Doug thing. There's probably something in the water. Maybe it's the forever chemicals. Madison Square Garden rally, kind of spooky how history repeats itself. Oh, he's got his, Doug's actually got one on that. He's got that covered too. Orange Con desperately wants to shower with Arnold Palmer. It seems like that, or he was like really, really nostalgic for that. All right, let's take a look here.
I believe that all people should be treated with dignity and respect. Period. And should not be vilified for who they are. And should not be bullied for who they are.
Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable. This is a window into who Donald Trump really is. And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is.
And should not be vilified for who they are.
So being a fascist lunatic is and basically kind of siding with some of the more corrupt and ridiculous ideologies that you can find, Donald Trump does that, is equivalent to being like a trans individual born that way. He was born a fascist, so we can't criticize his fascism. Is anyone else cool with this? Like, he put that down here. If Kamala Harris treated Donald Trump as a trans woman, well, she's not treating him like anyone would treat a trans. She might be treating him the way Doug would treat a trans woman, because Doug thinks that trans people are ideologically motivated. It's no different than either a fashion or a belief system. They might as well be just Mormons. He had no choice but to be fascist. Doug thinks Hitler-esque is a protected class. Apparently, you know. And the interesting thing about that is, like, she's saying, like, look, he's increasingly unhinged. Okay. She believes that. I don't understand how that's unfair. So Doug then should be calling out Donald Trump for saying that she was born mentally, poorly mentally equipped. I'm being very euphemistic. That's not what Donald Trump said, but she's mentally handicapped in some way, or mentally impaired. She was born that way. Okay, so Doug needs to get the message out to Donald Trump right away that if he wants to be respectful, then he needs to not do that, because she couldn't help it. She was born that way. He wouldn't want people saying that his fascism is something that he can help. He was born that way. I mean, Doug is just really, really trolling. There's some shallow, nasty waters here. Maybe the all meat diet clogged Doug's brain arteries. He's not doing that, is he? Is he following the Peterson diet of just all meat, just 4 steaks a day and some sparkling water? Trump doesn't seem to be able to deconvert from bigotry these days. Yeah. Why you guys got to be so mean to the fascists? I mean, they're so easily hurt. I mean, I can't help it. The fact is, it's like I'm not trying to make them cry. They came at us crying and screaming. Like, this is a point I was making. My brother and I were talking about this earlier today. I was like, the reason I think that they need to do this, especially Doug, he needs to get on here, is because there's some calmer people on the other side. His side of the fence, they're screaming and crying and clutching their pearls all the time. There's no entertainment there. You can't change the reaction. They're losing it all over the place. They're more offended at the offense people took to the stand-up comic at the MSG thing than they were to any of the comments that comic made. And the joke that really, got the most airtime, even people at the event didn't like it. He even had to say, like, "Oh, that's how it's going to be." Like even that didn't play as well as he thought it would. Trolling being the operative word. Yeah. Oh, okay. Doug did the all meat. This is so good. I remember when you were platform dead when he was defending Robert Price and he dog whistled for entire programs. Doug dog whistles a lot. Doug whistles, I would say. He stopped all meat a year ago after his blood pressure told him to go to hospital immediately. Really? Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think I'm not a vegetarian and I'm not vegan, although I tend to lean more to vegetarian nowadays, but I eat fish and poultry mostly. But I mean, I think red meat every once in a while can be good for you. It's got lots of iron and stuff in it. You can't eat it all the time. And on top of that, even people with other conditions, other doctors that specialize in things like rheumatism and things like that will tell you, like, yeah, out of all of your protein sources, red meat is about the most inflammatory one that you can get. And sort of systemic inflammation and high blood pressure, not a great combination. That just not good. That was vaccine digital gnosis. Coco says, I don't believe all meat diet. He must have at least had fries. He probably snuck in a few. Yeah. Ken Elvin says, I hope you're getting paid because I'm getting ads every few minutes. I always set mine to I always set mine to the lowest ones because now they just have this like sliding scale, these selections. I always put it on conservative. I'm seeing a ton of ads from even non-monetized ones right now. The election spending on advertisements, I think, has gotten so overflowing, even for something like YouTube, where there's just ads every like 4 minutes. I agree, it's gotten nuts. Not just, I'm kind of surprised. I would have thought I can only imagine what would happen if I had set it to like highest, which is like 3 or 4 sets up. I don't think I've ever set a video for that high. At most, I may have neglected and left it at what they call balanced, but there's no such thing as balanced ads now. He would drink booze at Pine Creek Poker. Well, that's bad for your blood pressure. I mean, part of the reason that I have blood pressure issues is because I like a drink and or drinks, and I'm way too heavy for my frame. But I'm still working on that. So. It's interesting that you said that he drank, because I didn't. I think he's kind of a social drinker when it comes to some of that. Like he'll drink with poker and he would smoke cigars. I could have swore he said he was a smoker because I asked him, and I remember seeing a video where he was on a patch or on gum. Jeff said on conservative. You heard it, folks. Yeah, Maya's outing me now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, capital C conservative. That's me. I used to pay for Premium Bro High. I kind of miss it. I had no idea the ads would increase this much come election season. I picked the wrong time to quit paying for it. All right, let's try another.
2022, 2023, there were record border crossings. Your administration took hundreds of executive actions. It didn't stem the flow. Numbers kept going up. Finally, in 2024, just in June, 3 weeks before the first presidential debate with Joe Biden, you institute executive actions that had a dramatic impact, really shut down people crossing over. Why didn't your administration do that in 2022, 2023?
First of all, you're exactly right, Anderson. And as of today, we have cut the flow of immigration by over half. In fact, the numbers I saw most recently, illegal immigration.
But if
is
it was
low.
that easy with that executive action, why not do it in 2022, 2023?
Because they wanted to pass legislation that would actually be more permanent. They watched what happened when. And it's interesting, 2022, well, the executive action on it, they still had the ability, the Border Patrol still had the ability to act under Title 42 to kick people out. Because
we were working with Congress and hoping that actually we could have a long-term fix to the problem instead of a short-term fix.
You couldn't have done one and both at the same time?
Well, here's the thing. We have to understand that ultimately this problem is going to be fixed through congressional action.
Do you wish you'd done those executive orders in 2022, 2023?
I think we did the right thing.
2022, 2023, there were record border, but you're agreeing to a bill that would...
A border wall is a good idea when I do it, but it's a bad idea when Trump does it. Yeah, this one's completely misleading, but I'll play this one.
Earmarked $650 million to continue building that wall.
So there's legislation that was still in there that had money marked for the wall, and I don't think that there's not much the VP can do about this, right? Like the questions that Anderson's asking here are largely for people like Doug who really don't understand politics.
I pledge that I am going to bring forward that bipartisan bill to further strengthen and secure our border.
I really hope they don't bring that exact bill forward, because the exact bill wasn't great. I liked the part about increased spending for judges to get the cases taken care of to speed that process up. But some of the other stuff that they wanted to do, some of it was about stripping away some asylum language, which is a little tricky given that we kind of have treaties based on that. But I mean, they'll figure that out, I guess. Maybe. Just to drink, ate at most.
To fix the problem, you're doing this compromise bill. It does call for $650 million that was earmarked under Trump to actually still go to build the wall.
I am not afraid of good ideas where they occur.
So you don't think
that was kind of a weird answer from her? All she's got to say is like, yeah, I know it's in there, but if you go in and line item the stuff, you can be line iteming forever. So the money was earmarked. It's in there. It's in this particular bill now. It's probably going to go through with it, which builds a small portion of wall somewhere. It doesn't build the entire wall. It's just one of those, it'd be interesting if you conceded, so there's no point. Like, there's no point. So we either build the entire wall or we build none of it. No amount of structures are a good idea. If I would do that just that you could pivot onto any conservatives of like, it has to be there, like, so you want the entire thing all the way through regardless. I
think it's stupid anymore.
America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it. And that's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made. America has always had migration, but there needs to be a legal process for it. People have to earn it.
I know, because I've done it.
That's the point that I think is the most important point that can be made. America. Does Doug not understand this? You don't get automatic citizenship if you get asylum. You can be granted asylum and then years later get deported. I mean, does he understand? It takes on average, 10 years for an individual to actually get their citizenship? I think Doug is right on average because he finally just got there after being here for 10 years. If you you don't just get to come here, declare asylum, and then become a citizen. He's still acting as if that the narrative that is being projected from right-wing politicians that it happens just like that. You show up here and you say, you know what, Haiti's a bad place. You know what, Venezuela's a nasty place. They stamp an American flag on your forehead and say, God bless you, young person, and go out there and get a job. Take a job from an American. Well, not just another American, because you are an American. Like, it doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. This is sad. This is him literally being like, I had to earn it, and these guys get to come in here and do whatever. No, they don't. They get to, like, did you want them to come in here on a student, like, can they just show up here like a college student could? They can get financing for their education, then they show up here and go to school. How dare they? Isn't that what you did, Doug? Well, get the out of here. I mean, nobody gives a shit. But you had to earn your way in. Eventually, you had to earn your citizenship. You had to be here. You had to be documented for a certain amount of time. If they're asylum seekers, that process is just starting. And trust me, if Doug if he's watching, there's plenty of things that the government can do to completely F over their chances of ever becoming a permanent citizen. Don't you worry. Yeah. Meanwhile, she could give the most detailed explanation of her plans and they'll go, she's not being clear enough. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if Doug is concerned that the Democrats are going to be too lenient and too left wing on immigration, then he needs to go and review the laws that Bill Clinton signed and the deportation record of President Barack Obama and the deportation record of our current sitting president.
She's like a true double threat. She's terrible on her feet when she gets unexpected questions, and simultaneously, she can't even answer the expected questions. It's nothing, nothing, nothing. You'd think she'd be prepared to do this by now. What's a mistake you've made? Nothing. What's a weakness you have? Nothing. What's the first law you want to pass? Nothing. What's a policy difference between you and Joe Biden? Nothing. Over and over and over. Empty, empty, empty. If she were an animal, she'd be a duck-billed platitude.
That's not good. Trump is set. That is really not a duck-billed platitude. I'm not sure what that means, but that's not the own that I think that guy thinks it is. Almost all the asylum seekers are directly traceable to violence due to U.S. drug prohibition, militarization everywhere south of the border. U.S. policy broken. Yeah, in a lot of ways it did. I mean, the same thing happened with NAFTA. When NAFTA imposed some agricultural laws that essentially wiped out a lot of the jobs that ag workers in the North could do in terms of especially corn growing. It became cheaper for Mexico to import corn from grown here in the United States rather than to grow it domestically. And so you saw some of those people who did that work try to make their way up here to work in that agricultural area. Yeah, it amazes me that a lot of this kind of stuff, the U.S. doesn't take any credit for. Apologists like Doug don't care. They'll just be like, oh, well, okay. So the United States, in the course of normal business with foreign relations, broke Haiti or broke Venezuela or ball kicked Mexico. Okay, so some people, does that mean we have to be responsible for the consequences? Short answer, kind of. Kind of, if you believe in things like accountability, responsibility, initiative, picking yourself up by your bootstraps, that kind of stuff, being true to your word, honesty. If you're a sleazy, duplicitous gas bag, then no, you don't have to take any accountability for that. You can just externalize all those consequences back onto the people whose lives you screwed over, and then pretend that, they just have to make lemonade with lemons. And we gave them plenty of lemons, right? It doesn't matter that we torched all the sugar cane. Okay. Like the battery-powered sharks. Well, if you have to choose between electrocution or a shark, I say both. Electrocuted by shark.
That he's going to use the army and he's going to use the National Guard against his political opponents.
A dark, dismal, fascist, and increasingly obviously fascist person.
He has said, if you speak out against me, you are the enemy from within.
Fear-mongering. I'm like, what is that? They're like, yeah, it's fear-mongering. They want you to be scared of everything, so you're obedient and you're scared and you follow the rules. I'm like, oh, that's called fear-mongering? Then my mom must have invented fear-mongering. Ever since I was 5 years old, my mom had me believe that anything I do would make me sick. You go outside without a jacket, you get the flu. You go to bed with the fan on, pneumonia. God forbid you fall asleep with wet hair. You don't even wake up. That's it. You're dead. That's it. You're dead.
Donald Trump has said he's going to...
First of all, Ouyang is not doing anything there that is anyway connected with politics. And the fact that Doug is just making light of so Scarborough is not a leftist. He's about as Republican as you get. He's concerned about the authoritarian tilt of someone like Donald Trump. And Doug's measured response is to say that this is merely fear-mongering. It isn't. The gaggle of losers that are looking to sort of follow the linebacker in, the linebacker being Trump, so that they can start working through all of their weird issues, like making sure that only political loyalists are part of the government, making sure that civil servants are quote unquote traumatized, that they feel uniquely awful about their work. These losers are going to go in there and try to and put this into effect. This is going to affect more than just the target groups that Doug likes to equally hate upon. Like, I think the only reason that he's a conservative is because he sees conservatives, so many conservatives, taking shots at groups A, B, and C. And he's like, hey, you know what? I'll join in on that. That sounds great. Not realizing that a lot of the policies that they would put into place would make his life administratively harder and more expensive. Same problem with Haiti. We have migrants while Bill Clinton forced Haiti to import Tyson dark meat chicken, which destroyed their ag sector. So we overthrew their president. Yeah. Our record on, Blaster Master. Fascism is funny like your bossy mom. Yeah, exactly. It's just the overbearing old neighbor. That's who it is. Like, not when he starts opening up facilities to house people. That's when things get a little darker. It's like, it's Dennis. It's like Dennis the Menace dealing with a cranky Mr. Wilson. Like, Mr. Wilson has things called pogroms in place now. Dennis the Menace took a real dark right turn.
She's like, Donald Trump has said he's
a very, very tight race, John. Fact is, Donald Trump is very much in a position he could win the popular vote, which of course is something he would absolutely love to do.
Why would this be funny?
Wait
a minute. I mean, so Doug thinks this is funny because The only thing that would win in that scenario is the existence of the Electoral College, because, and I guess Doug would, because now Doug would be like, aha, now all these hypocrites will come out and they'll support the Electoral College because it won. Like, I don't know if they'll do that. If I don't see how. So I don't know. It's just not broken up that way. Hillary Clinton got like something like 3 million more popular votes. But because the majority of those votes were in states like California and New York, most of them in California, they just don't count. After a certain point, they don't get distributed the right way. I don't see that happening for Trump, because the places where he might overwhelmingly win, states like Oklahoma or Arkansas, they just don't have the Electoral College oomph, nor do they have the same level of population. So this doesn't seem right. I'm happy that Doug is taking this CNN prognosticator as seriously as he does, because he's just like, wouldn't that be great? I get to laugh at people who have to switch positions on the Electoral College. Newsflash, Doug. Even if it works out that way, and people can be glad that the Electoral College allowed her to get the victory over Trump, that doesn't mean that there won't be people out there, even those same people, working to get the Electoral College changed or removed. So, and the only way he wins is if basically he carries Pennsylvania, which is looking like he won't. Well, don't say that, you'll jinx it, Michael, but let's hope so. Knock on wood. Let's see, Raphael says, MAGA doesn't care about what is true or not. It's only about poning the libs, and he spreads these memes, hoping he'll trigger people like you, which means he wins checkmate. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's really, then that's the point that I made before. The idea behind this, the positions behind this are not really about anything more informed than, you know what, in my own circles, when I talk to these people, they're all a mess. So misery loves company. Let's go over to the left and see if we can get them turned up, and I'll just spread a bunch of shit, bunch of confusion, and hopefully something works.
Now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Donald Trump wins the presidency. I told you so. Oh, I told you so. Now project the winner.
The episode.
So I'm not really sure what the lesson from that is supposed to be, other than that. Okay, I thought Doug was a numbers guy. If he cares anything about some of the numbers he's been talking about, which is the very, very close poll numbers that showed Trump's got a really good chance of winning the whole thing, and depending on how you look at it, if we're to believe that that's what that means, then oh well, he's going to be great. Like, well, those numbers showed that she was polling better than Biden. So I'm not exactly sure what that's going to do for that. Because even now, like if the polls are accurate and he's closed the gap, I'm pretty sure she's still polling higher than Biden in a lot of the national polls. Let's see this is from his Rogan conversation. Let's see what happens here.
Episode of you when you're on The View, and I think it was 2015 or 2006, like when you were running for president.
These are actual Pine Creek shorts. Yes, they are. That's all these are. So just catching up with old Pine Creek. Doug is now the Tim Pool of Jimmy Dores. The polling data is overestimating Trump support. I think you might be onto something. In fact, that same CNN prognosticator today or yesterday went on to say that he believes he has a pretty strong feeling that most of the national polls are way underestimating the amount of Democratic support for Harris and the amount of turnout. I mean, only time will tell at this point. I hope he's correct, because if that is correct, then she's probably pretty well situated to take most, if not all, of the battleground states, and that would probably get her like a 319, and that's it. That's the ball game. So how close they are is going to make a big difference, because legally they're the Republicans, the GOP, they're going to be poised to just, take this, to drag this down and slow it down as much as possible. You should have Doug back on to continue the conversation you both were having about COVID-19. That's what the people want. Yeah, I'm sure it is. You were the only person that wants that.
Right. And you got introduced as our friend Donald Trump.
That's right.
Whoopi Goldberg gives you a big hug and a kiss. Joy Behar gives you a big hug. Barbara Walters gives you a big hug.
Please let's find out, and please welcome my friend, Donald Trump.
Not a big hug from
We're so
Whoopi.
happy to have you. Whenever you're on with us, we're very happy.
We love it. And she likes me. She even put me in a movie.
I was just going to say.
She put me in a movie,
yes,
right?
we
A
are
long time ago.
friends.
So how much did I judge? Nothing.
Like they say
right?
in the
It was a freebie.
There's nothing you haven't been successful at. You're a great character. You're a great friend of ours.
The episode of you when you're on the
Trump hasn't.
So I'm a little bit surprised that Doug takes what Barbara Walters is saying to him on a TV talk show 100% seriously. Like she's being completely candid with him. Sorry, gotta heave. I know you'd get that orange on you and be like, yeah. Doug gives himself enough airtime. Not lately. Not if you talk to his fans. Like I said, he hasn't been on for a month. He's really dialed it back. He's been in the lab creating these little nuggets of wisdom. Joe Rogan discovering celebrity culture. Yeah, exactly. This is just and yeah. I think Barbara Walters and Trump are, well, she was older than him, I believe. I think didn't she pass away? So yeah, the idea, oh yeah, we know each other from around the way. They all hung out in the same kind of socialite celebrity circles in New York.
Incendiary rhetoric, there's no question. But we have 4 years to judge him by, and the country was going pretty well when Trump was in there, unlike the 4 years we've had under these two.
Well, I mean, I could argue with that too. Actually, if Trump had this economy, and I could go through all the stats, the stock market is through the roof, wages are up.
Not as high as it was under Trump.
Well, first of all, Trump inherited somebody else's economy.
We did go through, a very long pandemic. So the odds that, it was riding high right up until Trump and then COVID, and now it's riding good again. Oh, it's not as high as it was with Trump. Well, yeah, but we still have supply chain issues being caused by, among other things, a war in Ukraine. So, yeah.
That's what Barack Obama would like us to do.
Well, it's true.
Okay.
It's really on day one, everything changed.
So
when Trump
just
got
walk
in.
me through it. So Trump has Obama to thank for his economy,
okay,
but Biden can't thank Trump for anything.
Okay.
Well, when the economy turned to crap in the last year, and the best thing that Trump could do, which some of the moves he did were good. I mean, the idea of doing, relief spending and things like that, but they had to keep doing relief spending even after Trump was done. So yeah, I mean, I don't understand why, based on her logic, all you have to say is like, well, okay, Trump inherited a great economy from Obama. True. Well, then it was fine, right? It was working okay. Yeah, and then the pandemic hit, and he kind of bitched that up, and then everything fell apart. So Biden inherited a complete wreck, and now it's almost as good as it was before. I mean, Megyn Kelly's not being real logical here. Oh, that's what I thought. Thanks, Jay. Walters died in 2022. MAGA, don't count COVID for Trump. Only count COVID for Biden. Exactly. And if you do bring COVID up in connection with Biden, they'll be like, oh, you're just trying to make excuses for him. Like, okay, so the immediate recession and damn near market collapse that happened when COVID hit, along with the incompetent handling of the entire situation by Donald Trump, we don't blame that on him. We just blame that on Biden. Okay. Objectively, Biden delivered a soft landing when Fox predicted for 3 years that we would have hyperinflation and total economic collapse akin to 1929. Yeah. Although some of them, I think, they got their fingers crossed, hoping that will happen like next week, on Monday. That way everybody will run and vote for Trump.
Let's get off this.
Oops. Trump hasn't.
Weeping May.
I don't think that she got him so much as Bill Maher lately is more tired and he's more easily winded now that he does his like podcast thing where he's like, smoking weed and getting drunk with celebrities. So
Endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning.
You feel joy? Say joy.
The path may seem hard, the work may seem
seem heavy, but joy.
Joy.
Joy. Joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
Can I get an amen? Yes. I don't know what you come to do, but I come to praise the name.
Weeping may endure for a night.
I mean, she is quoting Psalms right there. I don't know. Like, he's trying to compare her delivery with that kind of shuck and jive routine that Eddie Murphy did. So I'm not real sure. Oh, wait, no, I think I get it. I think I get it now. The less said about this one, the better. Similar shit in Poland. Current government inherited the budget from people now in opposition. And the opposition is now like, your budget sucks. Yeah.
I think it's really easy for those that aren't otherized in this country to not be offended and to tell.
So let's see. The title, Sonny Hostin from a slaveholding family is offended about the Puerto Rico garbage island joke. Notice how Doug had to word that. She's from a slaveholding family, like her mom and dad.
Us, those that are otherized and marginalized, not to be offended. Well, I'm offended.
That sounds like a you problem.
I'm offended. I'm offended about what was said during the rally. Not only.
I don't like that he used that actor from that show in a clip. I like that actor and I like that show.
About my community, but about all communities.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. I think it's really easy for those that are.
So way to lean into the racism there, Doug. Call me. I think you need help. I think there's some hotlines for things that for what's wrong with Doug at this point. Yeah, Doug's really leaning into it. Doug's not racist. Nope, no racism's here. Yeah, this one. Not only that, it doesn't make any sense. Like, let's say that she found out on that show that, oh, I thought I was half Puerto Rican, but it turns out I was only like a third, a quarter Puerto Rican. But a lot of my ancestors that were from the Puerto Rican side were actually, originally from Spain. They were Spaniards, and yeah, some of them owned slaves way back in the day. Like, ugh, that's part of your history you don't really want to, like to see. But what does that have to do with her opinion that she's offended because she's Puerto Rican or some Puerto Rican descent, or she's offended on behalf of Puerto Ricans because of the jokes and comments made at the Madison Square Garden rally? I don't see how this disqualifies her. This is more of Doug, like, just greedily trying so hard to catch the hypocrite in action. Like, here we see them in their natural environment on The View, MAGA's kryptonite. What percent Canadian is Doug? I don't know. I think he used that aerosol spray to just freeze most of the pieces of Canadian off of himself. So it's anybody's guess now. Yeah, he's just so mindlessly offensive for no good reason. And it's just sad that Doug has fallen so far through pure Twitter feedback bullshit. Yeah, that's kind of what this is. Okay.
Donald Trump's got this big rally going at Madison Square Garden. There's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. And don't think that he doesn't know for 1 second exactly what they're doing there.
You said over the weekend, referring to it, there's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden.
Well,
you were comparing that rally to a Nazi rally?
Look, I'm comparing it to the hate that came out of this, and I think they confirmed that.
You stand by that comparison, though, to a Nazi rally?
Look, the rally, you saw it for yourself. I'll let the American public make the decision of what they saw.
What about you, though?
So I know what I saw, and I'll just leave it at that.
In the name of all those who do the work, pay the taxes.
So here is video from 1992 of Bill Clinton at Madison Square Garden accepting the nomination of the Democratic Party. One problem. Tim Walz did not say that Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden was equivalent to the rally at Madison Square Garden in the 30s, the fascist one. He said it was equivalent to a meeting, a rally. And that was the one that he was invoking. The idea that that this is somehow hypocritical or contradictory because the Democrats have also used Madison Square. It wasn't the location. He was making a connection to the type of rally held at that location. Come on, man. Come on. And Doug does know that. Well, I don't know anymore. I'm pretty sure he's been huffing paint fumes or something. There's just something really weird going on with him. I don't want to assume that he does know that. But then again, this is him desperately trying to trig libs with Clinton, of all things. I wonder, does Doug think that the fascists actually did show up there? Were they there? Maybe not. 1939, Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people.
This one is called, Will Seinfeld and Jon Stewart vote for Trump to save comedy? The right to be offended. Okay. I'm pretty sure that these comments that Seinfeld's making here, he walked back. But let's see what Doug chunks together here.
This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap and people worrying so much about offending other people.
Having a roast comedian come to a political rally a week before Election Day and roasting a key voting demographic, probably not the best decision by the campaign politically. But to be fair, the guy's really just doing what he does. I mean, here he is at the Tom Brady roast a few months ago.
The great Jeff Ross, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Gronk, you look like the Nazi that kept burning himself on the ovens. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting.
Yes, of course. Terrible, boo, yes. There's something wrong with me. I find that guy very funny. So, I'm sorry.
This is the result of the extreme left and PC crap.
Okay, but I believe that Stewart then went on to talk about how the guy was punching down instead of kind of punching up. There's ways to do that. Having a roast comedian at a rally I don't think that is generally a good idea, but if you're going to have them there, the whole point of doing that is that everybody gets roasted. And from what I saw, Hinchcliffe was only really pointing out like the targeted groups that, the crowd there already thinks less of. So if you're just punching down, it's not great. You kind of have to be more self-deprecating than that in order for that to work. Plus that Hinchcliffe guy got in trouble because we got pulled. I think he got he pulled from management. Somebody dropped him because of he basically flat out called a comedian he followed on stage, used the racial epithet against him, and it was on video. You can find it. And when it came out, he was blacklisted from a few places, and his management left him, all that kind of stuff. And Stewart's catching flack for this, but I think a lot of it is because that clip is being taken out of context. I don't think the guy's that funny. I remember when that video of his bit was going around, and some of the jokes were pretty funny. I mean, the roasts are I'm surprised at some of the stuff they get away with on the roasts. But again, that's not really appropriate at a rally. And Stewart kind of said something to that effect in the full piece. Another person I think made a really good point about it is that comedy works better if it's kind of transgressive. And if you're in a crowd like that, just kind of feeding into their expectations, you're not being transgressive. You're not upsetting expectations. It's not funny. You're just kind of kowtowing to them in a way. What was the comedy about Puerto Rico? Where's the joke, Doug? Yeah, exactly. That wasn't the one that that wasn't the one he's going to talk about. Doug is also leaving out the part where that didn't land even with Trump's audience. Yeah, it was kind of flat.
And people worrying so much about offending.
So that's it. All right. Well, okay. We've caught up with enough Pine Creek for now. We'll see if he goes live sometime ever. He's probably waiting until after the election. Then he'll be online for like 6 hours. So yeah, look forward to that. Or don't. I'm kind of lying. I'm exaggerating a little bit. I probably won't look forward to that. Let's get rid of this. All right, folks. Well, I think that's it for now. I'm going to get out of here. I've got a few things to do. It's going to be kind of a late night tonight. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Do all that good stuff. If you got any suggestions for me, please send them to me at jeffersonspatchcock@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Thank you for the comments. Thanks for keeping everything interesting and fun. Sorry, Raphael, you need a shower now. So do I. So with that, folks, remember to vote and vote for what's on this hat, not camouflage. Don't do that. Vote Harris Walls. And with that, see you later. Take care.